Hello, everybody, and welcome to a rapid fire second episode of the week, depending on when it gets posted, but we're recording it the second time of the week. Episode of the Slow Smoke Pigskin Podcast, episode 21. I'm Aaron. That is Mr. Drew.
Hello.
I need to come up with a better intro than just calling you Drew. Like, I don't know what to call you, but I'm just going to move on from that. All right.
I got nothing.
We want to get to fun stuff. So
Yes,
there's
yes,
no
we do.
league news because we recorded 2 days ago and nothing's happened in the league since, even though I can tell you I've sent out a couple of trade offers, but have not gotten responses yet. Actually, there's been some waiver activity happening.
There has.
Some people who should be putting players on their taxi squad and picking up players, but whatever, you don't want to do it, that's on you.
Just a recommendation, but you should always have every spot in your lineup filled if you can, including IR and including taxi squad. Obviously, IR right now, that's not really a thing, but just a helpful hint for those of you who maybe haven't played Dynasty or are still new to it.
Yeah, actually, that's one thing that really frustrates me is when a player goes on IR and they're on IR when the season's over, and you don't know if they're going to start the regular season, but you can't leave them on IR. Like, perfect example, TJ Hawkinson, right? Like, he got an ACL. He's not going to be back for the start of the regular season, but he has to take up a bench spot right now, which blows. Like, I'm not the one who has TJ. Steve is, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, everything resets, and then they have to go through the whole process all over again, which...
Yeah.
I mean, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
I get it. If you don't know and you think there's a possibility, then yeah, but
yeah.
All right. So we can move on to the NFL news.
What we got?
Not much. Josh Jacobs is having problems with a hamstring, apparently. I think he was out OTAs for a day or two. Like, I don't
know. I hadn't heard that one. Like,
yeah.
All right, fine. I mean, that could be great for Josh Smith, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, this is early. They have all summer to prepare and be fine. But this is my favorite one because I just like screwing with you. But Breece Hall was working with the rehab group in practice, so obviously he has an injury.
Yeah, once I saw you put this in the show document, I was like, "What? His ACL is supposed to be fine. What happened?" And then I went and found it, and it was like, "Oh, he has a minor." I'm like, "Oh, you just trying to scare me, Drew. That's not cool." But one thing I was gonna say was just like these aren't even mandatory OTAs yet. This is still voluntary, so
correct.
It's so early on. I don't think if I remember correctly, I heard most of the mandatory ones start mid to late July, so it's a bit until players have to be doing things.
Correct. And Josh Jacobs is just trying to get familiar with his new team. Breece Hall is just trying to get better.
I think the hope with him is that, like, he came better off the ACL last year than people expected. Mm-hmm. So a full year off the ACL, hopes are high. Although I did see, God, what ranking was it? Maybe it was PFF, I think, that they had him at like running back 7 for the year. And I thought that was a little
seen him that low. Yeah.
I was like, that's a bit spicy right there.
Yeah. I most of the time he's 2 or 3 behind McCaffrey.
Yep.
A couple of signings or extensions, I guess we should say. Juwan Jennings signs an extension 2 years, 15 and a half mil, 10 and a half guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm not overly surprised by this because like I forgot they used some special tag or thing when they originally, like, I can't remember if it was a special type of tag or because he had been on the team long enough, they had like the ability to match an offer or something. And so they got him back on that. And so the fact that they turned it into an extension doesn't overly surprise me. He, fantasy wise, not hugely impactful. Real life NFL, they like him a lot.
Of course. And yeah, I mean, an injury here, injury there, and he might be solid for a game or two throughout the season. Who never know. But big signing, big extension was Jalen Waddle. 3 years, almost $85 million with 76 of it guaranteed.
Yeah, so good for him.
Wide receivers getting paid.
the couple things about this. Number one, this means that the Dolphins have almost $60 million a year for the next 2 years dedicated to two wide receivers because Tyreek is 30 a year, I think, this year next. So that's a lot of money towards them. Number one. Number two, I got to turn everything into the Cowboys, right? So I heard actually after this, I heard this afternoon that the supposed number that CeeDee Lamb is seeking is 32 million a year, which I think is about right. That's what AJ Brown got, and I think it's very debatable who's a better receiver, AJ or more valuable receiver to their team, AJ Brown or CeeDee Lamb. So, and in that same article thing that I heard, it was like this is what Jerry Jones gets for not setting the market himself. Like, if he had been the first contract out and re-signed CD, maybe he could have gotten it at 29 million a year or something. So it is what it is at this point. Good for you, Waddle. Like, gonna see some penguin dancing for a few more years in Miami. Of course, this happened after we talked to Adrian, but
Of course. And I think, if I remember correctly, Miami has their running backs where they don't have to pay them right now. So they gave.
I mean, Mostert's on a pretty cheap deal.
Right.
Achan's a rookie. He's on a rookie deal, and I think he was a second round. Yeah, I'm pretty confident he was a second round pick.
Yeah.
So it's not like huge money deal.
Right.
So Tua's still on his rookie deal for now, but that's
he'll get paid too. But the other, to piggyback on what you were saying about Cowboys and CeeDee Lamb, it's like the wide receivers aren't going to get any cheaper. So you might as well ink the deal now with your wide receivers. Then if you wait, it's only going to become more expensive. And that's year over year, obviously, but just in general, like if you have a receiver, if you don't want CeeDee Lamb, then that's fine. I mean, come on, he's arguably one or two right now, depending on who you talk to. But yeah.
So it's fantasy, which is different than real life, right? But I was listening to something earlier today where they were talking about top 4 dynasty wide receivers you could pretty much shuffle in any order, and that's Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, that's fantasy. It's a little bit different than real life. But point being, like, Chase, Lamb, and Jefferson are all up for deals, and Amon-Ra just got 30 a year. AJ Brown got 32 a year. Like, this is what they have to expect. Tyreek Hill got 30 a year. Yeah. I mean, Nico Collins got 24, and he's only had 1 year. Like, if they think they're not getting close to 30 mil a year, if they want these guys, like, you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're not going to go with the however much they're going to get a year, it's going to be guaranteed over a longer period, and it's going to be you're spending the same money.
And like I give, I'm in a weird position. I admit openly. Like as a Cowboys fan, I hate the Eagles. Right?
We're still talking about football, correct?
Yeah. Okay. As a Cowboys fan, I hate the Eagles, but I have a lot of respect for the Eagles organization for multiple reasons. First of all, GM Howie Roseman is, in my opinion, one of the best GMs in the league. And then also they have the Eagles Autism Foundation, which does a lot of stuff for autism. So therefore, I'm a sucker for it. And
sounds like you should be an Eagles fan.
Yeah, I won't. Like, if I hadn't given 30 years of pain to being a Cowboys fan, maybe I'd think about it. But I'm not changing it up at this point. But like, I hate the team. I hate playing against them. Mad respect for the organization. All right. So we ready to move on to the main topic of this?
Yes. Our no news turned into a 10-minute rant about getting wide receivers paid.
We turned everything into a rant.
I know.
Good at it.
All right. So we're going to talk about the draft. And we're going to talk about how
our league draft, to clarify.
Correct. Yes. Yes. And kudos to everybody, like we said in the last episode, of how quick it went. I was presently
Pleasantly.
Pleasantly surprised. Thank you.
You're surprised right now.
Well, yes, right now, about how fast it was and how everybody did. It was super cool. I'd like to get it down to at the time it was exciting. So maybe we can adjust it next year or the year after or something like that. I don't know.
Just to say, like, we did talk about it at one point. We voted if we wanted to do, your standard 1, 2, 3 minute draft, whatever. Honestly, this year I was slightly more disappointed. So I was happy with how quickly it finished. The one thing that disappointed me this year over last year I felt like we had a lot more trades during the draft. Whereas this year I don't think we had any.
I sent out at least, I think it was 3 or 4 to like trying to move up into with picks and whatnot, and nobody. I didn't even get a response. I just knew that they declined it because they drafted somebody.
Yeah, like that.
Maybe they didn't see it. I don't know, but I think if it was be possible, it would be really cool to do the first round live with everybody there and then slow it afterwards, because as you get into that third and fourth round, like it's cool to not be pressured into a 2-minute pick and kind of do a little bit more research and figure out what's the needs. And those are where I think that the trades can really happen, and it gives people a little bit of time to come up with stuff like that. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, I'm with you. Like, I was pleasantly surprised it only took a couple of days, but like I said, I was slightly disappointed not more trading in the process.
But yes, so we're just going to go through manager by manager and kind of discuss our thoughts on how they did and how.
This is no particular order. I don't even know how this order happened. I just wrote them down. All right, so I guess we'll start with me.
You want to talk about yourself?
Okay. Who do you want to start with, Drew?
That's at the top. And guess who's at the top?
Okay. Well, because me.
Yes.
So I only had 2 picks in this draft. One of them I picked up not long before the draft, but giving up some strategy to folks that I probably shouldn't. I had 3 open taxi squad spots, so I was trying my best to get a couple, a pick or two so that I could at least fill up those spots. But I only managed to end up with 2 at the end of the day. So at 111, I took Jonathan Brooks. In my opinion, it was very debatable whether Jonathan Brooks or Trey Benson was the best running back in this class. Jonathan Brooks at least went to a position where he's probably going to play this year, whereas Trey Benson's behind James Conner, which means, so I should clarify, Jonathan Brooks will play a lot this year because Trey Benson is behind James Conner, who's never played more than 14 games, so he's going to get some shot this year. Just not the whole, as much of the year as Jonathan Brooks is likely going to get. Also, Jonathan Brooks was the first one drafted, and if he wasn't coming off an ACL, he could have been even an earlier pick.
If he didn't get hurt, he's the clear number 1.
Right.
Obviously, getting hurt creates that question mark, that bubble around you. Like, how's he going to be post that? But I think we've seen enough people getting surgery and ACLs and Achilles and coming back, and yes, they're fine. It might take them a little. He might not be
not be great this year.
But he went to a team that has the potential for reps,
needing a running back. Yep.
And
the thing is
it can only be good from there on out.
Honestly, I'm in a position where I traded for Breece Hall, so I have a number 1 running back now. But after that, I got a bunch of old guys at RB2. Well, not relatively old. They're mostly 26, 27 years old.
Running back age, they're older.
Yeah, so I could use a young running back. I was very happy with that falling to me at 111. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to get one. And then my other pick, 301, I got A.D. Mitchell, which, just like the NFL draft, he fell further than everyone expected because there is no way I thought I was going to end up with A.D. Mitchell at 301.
Yeah, honestly, that's a steal right there.
My original target was I thought I'd probably be looking at Roman Wilson, who I wasn't as stoked about, but that's about who I thought could fall to me at 301. And I figured I'd already taken a running back. I've got 3 tight ends. I got like 5 quarterbacks on my roster right now. So I figured another young wide receiver to give me some depth was a good chance. So I personally very happy with my draft. I think I got good values at my picks. I give myself an A.
Oh, we're giving out grades? Oh,
I
great.
wasn't I hadn't planned on it, but
I
I just wanted to give
I
myself an
think
A.
that with your two picks, you did a great job, especially with the needs for your team. Like yes, could you have gone out and taken a quarterback at 111? Yes, especially with us
Uh,
moving to Superflex. But I don't think that was something that like I don't even know
my,
who you have at quarterback at this point in time. But like that would have been the only other thing. But I think that getting that running back, Jonathan Brooks, with the situation that he's going into, that's a good fantasy pick.
I think like I'm looking at how the draft played out,
Yeah,
and I think I sat and thought about Drake May for a minute
for sure.
there, but
Your team,
with Jonathan Brooks and Trey Benson still on the board, the only way Drake May was coming on my team is if both of those guys were gone.
and I think that when you prepare for a draft, you kind of bookmark certain players that you're like, if that player is available at that time, no matter like that's who I'm going to hone in on. And when it comes up like that, like you can't second guess yourself. You just go with your
No.
plan and
In non superflex mocks rankings or whatever, I was seeing Jonathan Brooks frequently around 107, which is why I actually didn't think I'd be looking at him at my pick at 111. So the fact he was there, that one was an easy pick for me.
right. And then Mitchell, obviously, at the time that
Like I said,
he's the best player
he
at that time
fell.
of the draft. Yes.
All right, let's
100%.
move on from me. We talked about enough about me. That's
All
too
right,
long.
all right, all right,
All right, let's talk about you.
all right. Hey, yes, I had the 104 and the 105 pick. I was happy. I got a receiver. I got Rome Odunze, and then I picked Brock Bowers with my
So
second pick at 105.
because a quarterback went before you, Roma Dunze falling to you was great.
Correct.
I would have loved to have seen what you did had all three of
I
the wide receivers been gone. Would have been
again,
interesting.
my plan, like if going into it, I told myself, like, obviously, if one of those top three receivers is available, like, I have to pick up, regardless of what my team looks like.
Yeah.
I have, like, that's fine. That
Yep.
was what I was going to do. And
Yep.
my other plan, like, I didn't really have another plan. It was just going to be like however I felt at that point in time. I didn't want Brock Bowers, but yet again, I just felt like I didn't want to take a quarterback this early. I was hoping that I would get one coming around later, and I didn't, which is fine. I don't necessarily need one this year. But then again, with my team, like I have some trade bait out there that it's a
So
possibility.
So my
But
opinion on Brock Bowers is like once he went to the like to me he was
correct.
solid like in non-superflex or he was solid around 104 105 before he got drafted. He went to the Raiders, which is a bad landing spot.
It
That
is.
being said, I can't remember if I said it on the podcast or just in the conversation with you. Like there's another podcast I listened to where they said one thing about players is that situations change,
Mm-hmm.
talent doesn't.
Right.
So when you look at that, Brock Bowers' talent at 105 can't be questioned. It's just the situation. So
Right.
in a dynasty format where you're talking about one of the most productive college tight ends ever and tight end careers last longer, like I
I
think I hated, honestly, I hated the idea of the 105 pick this year, which
I know.
luckily I was glad I didn't have it. I
I
think it's a
tried to
good,
get rid of it and go higher or lower, and I
yeah,
had no luck. So
yeah.
yes.
All right,
Um,
next
so,
pick.
but
Oh,
yes, next pick. One more thing on that. If you look at the people who are the managers who are placing high in the league, finishing in the top three, top four, top five, they all have tight ends.
yeah,
So
no,
you need a tight end that gives you that little. When you lose by 3 or 4 points, it's because of those little ones, those little tight ends, or your
yep.
second flex, where it's like if you don't have that extra player that's going to get you 11 or 12 points instead of I think I averaged probably 5 at the most points out of my tight end last year. Average. Yes, I had a couple of good games, but those are the types of things that I needed to get me back up into at least playoffs.
No, I don't disagree that you needed a tight end.
Yeah.
That's
My 210 was Jalen Polk from out of New England.
To New England.
Right.
I like that pick. He was actually somebody I thought maybe could be at my 301. Actually, you and I had talked about it beforehand. What am I talking about? Like
You knew that wasn't
I said to you, I was like, if Jalen Pope falls to me at 301, you were like, he ain't gonna fall to you there. I was like, damn it.
The only way he would have fallen to you there is if Penix wasn't drafted. If I had Penix at 210, that's the only way it wouldn't have happened.
We'll get to the
Correct.
quarterback situation in a few. I did have some hope that maybe Penix would fall to me at 301, but some things happened in the middle of the second, which made that idea go away.
Yeah,
because I would have been happy to stash Penix because I don't need him right now. It would have been great for me.
And that's with what the league is going towards, that's a good pick to stash on your taxi squad, even at a second round pick. That's okay. Yeah. My 305, I went with Ben Sinnott. I went with another tight end. He's a guy that I just had on my radar that if he was going to be available, I was going to take him.
He's the second best tight end in the draft class. It's ironic that you took the first and the second. It would have, part of me wonders how it would have gone had you taken. I don't know who else you would have taken at 105 as part of the problem.
Had it gone a little different and had I been able to get another pick in the second round that I was searching for, I wouldn't have taken Bowers with the 5th.
Right.
But I couldn't make a trade with anybody because everybody's like, I want to see what the draft does. Which
305. I think 305% it was a steal.
Yeah.
So
I agree. And it was again, he's a good pick. And now if someone wants Brock Bowers, he's on the trade block.
Well, you better go make it official.
I want people to listen.
Oh, okay.
No. All right. And then I don't know what just happened. With my 4th pick, I finally got a running back, Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen pick in the 4th round. Braylon Allen, which I was super happy about. I was worried that I wasn't going to get any type of decent, and I like this pick just because he is the backup to. He will be the backup to Breece Hall, and I hope Breece Hall gets you lots of points and then doesn't get you any points.
Yeah. Well, Braylon Allen was an interesting prospect. He's the biggest running back out of this class, big bruising back, but he's obviously going to get very limited opportunity behind Breece. But
I also think if you want to keep your running back healthy, it's going to be 80-20 split time. It's not going to be 60-40, anything 70-30. But he's going to get some chances to. But for fantasy reasons, it's not going to be worth it. So
just my only point is Isaac Guerrero went after Braylon Allen, right? Isaac Guerrero had a fantastic combine, but he got drafted by San Francisco. But McCaffrey's old for a running back, right? Who knows how much longer he has? Whereas Breece Hall's 22, I think, 21. He's young. So I would have had a debate between Guerrero and Allen there. I don't hate the Allen pick. It's a 4th round pick, right? It's a dice roll. No, I don't hate it. Because I'm just trying to knock you down a peg or two.
I feel like he's got someone else to fight for.
Elijah Mitchell.
Yes,
I think Elijah Mitchell's might be on the last year of his deal. I can't recall for sure,
which only gives him the more opportunity to maybe fight for.
That. Guerrero will be a stash, not for this year, for 1 or 2 years down the road.
Correct. Which I think that's what you're doing with your 4th round picks, anyways.
Cool.
Unless you're Puka Nacua.
Yeah. So all right, I'm gonna.
So what do you give me for a grade? Probably a B-.
Oh, okay. You're being nicer, or you're being meaner to yourself. I was thinking BB plus. I was okay with somewhere around there.
Yeah, I feel like what gives me that minus is that I did take 2 tight ends. But again, it was you pick the players that, like you said earlier, you pick the player, not the situation. Yep. I don't know. I wasn't sold on anyways. All right. Moving on to Eddie.
So since he's not here to talk about every pick, let's just read off all his picks and
Okay.
talk about it as a whole. So Eddie he had the 101. He took Marv. Like, sure, maybe there was a debate that you could take Caleb because we're going super flex, but even in a super flex league, I probably want Marv anyway. I think we talked about that at some point, but either way,
with the picks that he has, I think that he could have got a quarterback later on to help with the super flex, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, so he got 101 Marvin Harrison, 112 Brian Thomas Jr. Oh, so he took Jr., 1-2 of his picks.
Mm-hmm.
Then 201 Trey Benson, 208 Michael Penix, and 401 Javon Baker. Honestly, I think this is actually a really good draft. He got two top end wide receivers. So like Eddie, he's in a rebuild. He needed like everything except like a quarterback right now. He needs some quarterback depth, but he got Jordan Love. He's got Kyle Pitts as a young piece at tight end. So Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brian Thomas Jr., that's two great wide receivers to start off for him. Trey Benson, I think, is a fantastic running back prospect. As I said, 1 year, James Conner's gone. He's got that. He got Michael Penix because he doesn't have to worry until we go to Superflex because he's got Jordan Love. Yep. Beautiful pick for him there. And then Javon Baker went to the Patriots, who he's going to compete with Jalen Polk. And they're both coming up with Drake May. So as a fourth round dice roll to take a rookie wide receiver coming in with a rookie quarterback, like, good job, Eddie. I think you smashed the draft that you needed to smash considering your team.
Yes, I would say he's got to be one of the top, like, this is the top draft picks that of a manager like for our league, I would say.
Yeah, he did very well.
Yes.
So he gets an A.
Yes, A. That means you don't get an A then because yours wasn't as good as that.
I got an A minus.
Okay. All right.
We can only give one of each grade out.
Well, no, but you're saying that he had an A. His was way better than yours.
Well, because he had 5 picks. I did great with 2 picks.
Okay. All right.
Fine, I'll take an A minus.
There you go.
All right. Next, anything else you want to say about Eddie's?
No, that's good. He did. I think he did a really good job, and he just the flow of the draft and where his picks were also really helped him out, and he made good choices at those times.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Josh's team, Hot Garbage.
Still hot garbage.
I think he was trying to use that terminology for his draft too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Josh. I know you're new to the league, but come on.
Bro. I haven't met you yet, so I feel a little bad, talking smack. But I don't know. Has he played Dynasty before?
I don't know.
Okay.
102 Caleb Williams. I know you hate Caleb. Considering our league setup, I don't completely hate Caleb at 102. Like if I was at 102, it would have been a real debate for me. Especially, did he need a wide receiver? I can't remember. Let's look if he needed a wide receiver. He's got Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin. He's got some old receivers, so maybe he could have used a receiver, but Dontavian Wicks, Jalen Hyatt. Yeah. I don't know. I don't.
Who does he have at quarterback?
Who does he have at quarterback? In his starting lineup, he has.
I guess I'll pull it up.
Oh no, he's got Kyler Murray, Gardner Minshew, and Tua. So
Tua and Kyler Murray are your and now you're throwing Caleb Williams is going to be a starter over those two, or you're stashing him for 2 years.
I don't know. I know I was trying to trade him for a quarterback. Wait, did I say
you were trying to trade a quarterback to Josh?
No, from him.
Oh, you were looking for. He put Kyler Murray on the block. Obviously, he wants to get rid of one, which is fine if that's your plan, and he's got some trade bait. Then yes, I got that. That definitely makes sense.
I know you don't like Caleb. I don't hate him at 102 in this draft. 202, Marshawn Lloyd. Felt like that was a little early for him, personally, but that's my opinion. But
it went in 4 picks. It went 3 running backs. So maybe
Yeah.
he was hitting the panic button, like I need to make sure I get a running back.
Like, I like Marshawn Lloyd's talent,
Yeah.
but this year he's definitely behind Josh Jacobs. There is a very decent chance that next year, if Josh Jacobs doesn't do much this year, like Josh Jacobs signed a 4-year contract for $48 million, but it was only like 14 million guaranteed. And so
Yeah.
like most of that money is guaranteed this year. So if Josh Jacobs doesn't perform this year, he's gone, and then maybe it could be Marshawn Lloyd time. Talented, I think 202 was a little early for him.
I agree.
So his next pick, 302, then he took Jalen Wright, who's another running back who's now behind Mostert and Achane. Now, another one to me, like Jalen Wright's talented. I don't know that that's the need that he had at that pick. That's my opinion. Um, was he the most talented guy at that spot? You could probably argue it because I mean, like, who else went right around there? Roman Wilson went right after him. Kamani Vidal. I'd take Jalen Wright over Kamani Vidal in LA. Ben Sinnott. Like, I mean, honestly, Jalen Wright was probably the most talented guy on the board right there. So if you look at it that way, I get it. I just consider I probably would have taken Roman Wilson after I already took Marshawn Lloyd. Personally.
Correct.
And then 4th round, he took Tyrone Tracy, who's another running back to the Giants. Now, once again, I agree that was probably the most talented guy on the board because he's got a decent shot in New York because Devin Singletary got signed to a 1-year deal. And so he's probably gone next year. And maybe Tyrone Tracy's got a chance to be the starter. But taking 2 running backs when I think he could have used the young wide receiver, I don't know, questionable to me. Sorry for talking shit, Josh, but we are not experts, but this is our opinion.
And it's not personal. Like your team is still strong. We'll go over in a little bit kind of where the teams were before the draft and where they ended up after the draft. And we're just saying that we would have gone with variety.
Yeah. So like I am a big believer in taking the most talented player available, the best player available, regardless of position. But I think at least 1 or 2 of those picks, you could have gone a different direction. Anyways.
I think so too.
All right. Next up, Janelle. Oh, wait. Do we give Josh a grade? I don't want to give him a grade. I'm going to feel bad if I give him a grade. You give him a grade. Okay. We're moving to Janelle.
C plus.
Okay. Janelle.
Watch them all just be starters this year and just wreck everybody.
And absolutely wreck us. Absolutely. Yeah. Janelle, A+, perfect draft, good job. Doesn't matter what you took. A+, perfect draft. Okay. Yeah. But really, 103, Malik Neighbors. Great pick. That was the right pick there. Since Caleb was gone already, you take Malik, no questions. Even like she's got a strong dude. Now she's got Malik Neighbors and Jamar Chase, and then she's got another one, doesn't she? Who else?
She's stacked.
Like her team is.
If she doesn't make the championship this year, if she doesn't
become Puka. Oh, that's right. She got Puka too. Yeah. Her team's legit.
If she doesn't become not pretty successful anymore, then
oh my god, and Jordan Addison. Mahomes is her quarterback. Johnny Taylor, James I don't like looking at this. Yeah. When do I face her?
She has set herself up to compete this year. Post successful. What is her other?
She's pre-successful right now, so she's trying to get to successful.
Successful.
Yeah. Post successful means she sucks again.
You know she spelled successful wrong, or is it play on suck?
Where did she spell successful wrong?
How do you spell successful?
SUC. Oh, she's missing a C. Okay, yeah, you're right. My bad. She's missing a C. Okay,
but then I was like, she did that on purpose because it's a play on suck. No.
No, then she would have put a K.
Oh, all right.
Suck is spelled with a K, Drew.
I know, but successful's not. So if you put the two together, never mind.
I give up. Okay. Anyways, her second round pick, she took Blake Corum at 203. I I think it was a little early for Corum. Uh he's a talented
That's
guy. Obviously had a good college career. I just don't know what he's going to do in the pros. But the other problem, well, who else would she have gone with there? So like that's part of the problem. Like maybe Xavier Leggett. There was all like three of the quarterbacks there.
She doesn't need a wide receiver.
She doesn't need a wide
So,
receiver. The quarterbacks, like three of the May, Nix, and Penix were all available there, but she's already got Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
Like, she didn't really need a quarterback. So, like, I get why she took Blake Corum there, and it was probably the right decision.
And I don't think Kyron Williams is going to be. They can't have him with the workload that he had last year. They have to cut it back, so he's gonna get some playing time. Like,
yeah.
And if they don't, then he's in next year, and Kyron Williams is out because he's just gonna get hurt.
Right.
And that's as the owner of Kyron Williams.
Yeah. 303 Roman Wilson. This is a perfect pick for her. He's a possession receiver, good receiver.
Pittsburgh.
30 that was gonna be. I was gonna say at 303 he's a value and he's a Steeler. Like
I saw that and I was like, oh, Janelle got her Steeler. That's perfect.
Yeah, and then 403. I remember when it was her turn to draft. She was like, I don't know what to do here. I'm like, I don't give you advice. So sorry.
I don't think it's a bad stash. I think that he can use a year or two and he can put on some weight. He's Jerry Rice's kid. Like
exactly.
He's gonna be good.
For a fourth round pick, well, I don't know if I believe that for sure, but as a fourth round flyer, and she's already got wide receivers to throw him at the end of the bench.
He can sit on the taxi squad for 2 years. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm going to give her an A- just because of Blake Corum. Slightly early, just barely. But I'm going to give an A- personally.
Yeah,
because it's not as perfect as Eddie. Like, we have to give Eddie props so far. All right. Jason Freeman. All right. Jason, were you drunk when this draft happened? Okay, so
we talked to him soon, don't we?
Yeah, like,
we can get the real answer.
Oh yeah. So he had traded away his first round pick to Mr. Andrew over here. So he didn't have a pick until 204. So then he had 204 and 205.
He traded away. Well, he got Hurts.
Yeah.
He got Hurts Bo Nix. And I got, I forget who player I got.
Bauer. You took technically you took a Dunze.
Otherwise I wouldn't have had that. And I got a player and a defense.
Stafford maybe? Oh, okay.
Oh, it was Stafford. You're right.
Okay. So he took Drake May at 204, which I think Drake May at 204 is a very good pick, personally. Mm-hmm. I was fully on board that he took Drake May at 204. I was like, oh, nice start, Jason. Perfect. That's a good job. Like, I was kind of surprised he was still there at the 204 spot. But then he followed it up at 205 with Bo Nix.
Did he forget who he picked at 204?
I'm pretty sure
Does he think that Drake May is a wide receiver?
He took them like a minute in between each other. And like I texted him after he made this pick and he's like, well, maybe at least one of them hits and then I'm better. I'm like, you got to draft as though you're making the right choice.
Correct.
Like, so that one was weird to me. That being said, his next pick, 212, he got Ricky Pearsall to fall to 212, which was kind of shocking to me because Pearsall, I think you give him 1 year to sit on the bench behind Debo and Ayuk, and then next year, I don't think both of those guys are back. It's a question of, I think only one of them is back at all, and possibly neither of them back in San Francisco in a Shanahan offense. Like, I like Pearsall at 212. I think that was a great pick.
Yeah. So I could have seen Pearsall at 2.5.
Yeah. So
as his fifth pick, but
yeah. So he did great pick, goofy pick, great pick. Like we're trying to average out here. All right, and then 304, he goes Kamani Vidal, running back to the Chargers. Like, all right, fine. I mean, third round running back. Most of the were. At the same time, Bucky Irving, Audric Estime, Will Shipley were still available on the board. I feel like it might have been a little early for Vidal, so that just kind of follows Jason. Good pick, bad pick, good pick, bad pick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. 304 is early for him. Yeah, I like it. I don't think that that the Chargers are sold on the running back committee that they have. I think they just brought as many people in as possible and they'll let the pieces fall where they are. So does he have an outside chance, especially with injuries and older? Like, there maybe.
Gus Edwards is 29 years old. J.K. Dobbins has been injured his whole career, is only on a 1-year deal. Obviously, they don't think much of Isaiah Spiller, so the kid's got a chance.
Which sucks because I thought Isaiah Spiller was the guy.
Yeah, well, no,
Well,
not so much.
again, maybe like it could just be like, hey, let's get it. It's Jim Harbaugh. Like he's going to run the ball. So
Yeah. Right.
it's not
And
the
then
worst pick, but maybe it's early. Yes.
404 Devontae Walker. I've heard various reviews on him as a wide receiver. Whatever, 4th-round flyer, that's fine. So,
Yeah.
like I said, Jason did good, bad, okay. So I think he averages okay. So I think that puts him at like a CC plus somewhere.
Yeah.
With a weird way of doing it, with a couple of great picks. What was
I think that what just threw us off was it was quarterback, and it's just that's where it was just like, what? Come on.
The quarterback eliminated any chances of Michael Penix falling to me. Quarterback at 204
Correct.
and 5 eliminated any chances of Penix falling to me at 301, which made me sad. All right,
you would have had Jalen. If that would have happened, you would have had Jalen Polk because I would have been taking Penix. So
that's possible.
But you would have never had Penix.
Then again, I got AD Mitchell, and I don't know that I would have taken Jalen Polk over AD Mitchell anyway. True. So
we've had a side conversation about that.
Yeah.
And
anyways, okay. So to our Aussie friend who we talked to the other day, 106 Xavier Worthy. It's the pick that was generally happening there. I just don't feel great about it.
Every mock draft, he was the 4th wide receiver picked in the draft.
I've seen, maybe mocks. I've heard people argue that McConkey could be 4th best wide receiver. It depends on who you listen to.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying every mock draft that I did.
Yep.
That was
McConkey's.
I didn't feel like, and again, I had the opportunity to take that guy, and I thought that Bowers was a better pick, which is.
I think McConkey's more of a floor play. Worthy's a ceiling play. I think Ladd McConkey is safer, but if Xavier Worthy hits and becomes Tyreek Hill, then he could blow up.
But you also have to look at the receiving core that Kansas City has and the quarterback that Kansas City has. Like, if Patrick Mahomes likes him, he's going to get him the ball.
Well, but Ladd McConkey is basically coming in as the number 1 wide receiver for Justin Herbert. On that point of view.
Correct. But you're going into a Jim Harbaugh offense that doesn't want to throw the ball.
Fine.
So it's
206. Yes.
Moving on. Well, you just disagreed, so I don't want to talk about that anymore.
Yeah. All right, fine. 206, Ray Davis. What's your opinion? I thought this was a little early for Ray Davis.
I think it was just early, yeah. Like I have to go back and look to see. Maybe he was thinking he could get Bo Nix at 6, and that didn't happen. So
you remember that we have 4 hours, so it's not like you have to rush a pick.
I know. But I felt like that's what everybody kind of did at times.
Right.
It was just like back to back to back, and then all of a sudden, with the time difference, it was sleep. I mean, he did.
The thing about Ray Davis,
Xavier Leggett could have been like he picked at. Raf got him at 7.
So the thing is Ray Davis could be the goal line back in Buffalo, but Josh Allen is the goal line back. But they obviously don't trust James Cook at the goal line. He's like big between the 20s. So it could turn out all right. I think it's a little early for Ray Davis.
He could have taken Troy Franklin. But maybe he was the best pick at the time.
Okay. 306, Jatavion Sanders. He was the number 2 tight end prospect coming into the combine and stuff. So I don't hate this pick at 306 at all. Where did he end up? Oh, he ended up in
My,
Carolina.
I
And
have to
Carolina,
guess that he wanted Sinnott and didn't get him.
I mean,
So he went with the next best tight end. Like it's not a bad pick.
yeah. Yeah, and he's going to, like I said, he's going to Carolina. Carolina
Yeah.
didn't have
Yep.
like a great incumbent tight end, so not a bad pick. And then actually his 406 pick, Jalen McMillan, I like that pick a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's if I remember correctly, he's like a slot receiver coming to Tampa Bay. And how much longer is Chris
Good.
Godwin going to
Yes.
be there? So Jalen McMillan at 406, I like.
Yeah.
So
Minus the Ray Davis, like that was a pretty good draft.
yeah, I give him a B.
Yeah.
Solid B. Good
Solid
job,
B.
Aussie. It's even apparently you were messaging your other Aussie to give you Aussie picks. So fine. All right.
But he's from New Zealand or of New Zealand of someplace else. Anyways.
Tasmania. But
There
that
you
is
go.
part of Australia,
It's
apparently.
Australia. It's
Yeah.
a city, state.
Yeah, well. All right, Raph. 107 Lad McConkey. I like that pick. Good pick to me.
You
Xavier
think
what? I like it. But
let's see. Yeah, he's got
you're
Stroud
questioning
and
whether
Herbert, so he doesn't need a quarterback. That would have been the only other thing, and
oh,
then possibly
and that means he's got the Herbert McConkey stack.
yeah.
So I actually that makes me like that pick
That
even
makes
more.
it even a better pick. Yeah. He got
I
lucky.
mean, he's got Mostert, he's got DeAndre Hopkins, and then not a lot else in wide receiver. So Gabe Davis. So he needed a wide receiver.
Yeah.
The more I look at this pick, the more I like it personally. So good job on that one, Raph.
Yeah.
Then he took Xavier Legette at 207. We just said he needed wide receiver. So Legette at 207 for a
If he was
first round
available,
wide receiver. A first
yeah.
round wide receiver at 207 is a steal.
And I just really like the guy, so I think he's just going to be fantastic. Like
listening to him and Keon Coleman has just been a delight.
Yes.
Keon Coleman just got jokes, and you can't understand half of what Legette says, which is just fantastic.
Nope. And if you've ever been to New Orleans, if you've ever been to New Orleans, like you know exactly where he's coming from and the way that he talks, and it's fantastic.
He's from South Carolina.
No, who's from New Orleans?
Okay, I know
whose parents. No. He went to school in South Carolina. He is not from South Carolina. That is a New Orleans accent.
All right, we'll have to
do a stat check.
We'll have to figure this out later.
I believe his parents were interviewed saying, "How did you all get here?" And she said that we're from New Orleans, and that's where we came from. Where it was like that's not what the interview was meant to be. No,
I don't know. We'll have to vet this for sure. Okay. All right. Anyway, so his next pick was I lost my place. Bucky Irving at 307. I didn't like Bucky Irving as a prospect, but as a running back at 307 who can catch the ball going to Tampa Bay, not a bad pick considering the situation. And then 407, Theo Johnson, tight end to, I believe, the Giants, right? Is that right? Yes, to the Giants, where Darren Waller might be retiring. He still hasn't decided. They do have Daniel Bellinger as a young prospect, but I actually had him on my list. Like I had set up a bunch of players who, if they didn't get drafted, I was going to try and pick them up on waivers, and he was on my list.
Yeah.
So I don't mind drafting him mid to late fourth, I think.
No.
So overall, I think Raph had a pretty good draft too. I'd give him you want a B plus, A minus? B plus?
Yeah, I don't know about A minus. At least a B plus.
All right,
for sure.
We'll go B plus.
Yeah.
All right, Neil, who had the most picks in the draft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. Lots of picks.
He was really excited about this draft. I don't know if you all remember, we had him on for our pre-draft podcast, and he was really excited about it. And I tried to get a couple of his picks, and he's like, "No, I like this draft."
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame him.
No.
All right, so first he had a bunch of groups of picks. Now that I look at it, 108, then 109, and then 308, 39, 312, all close together, and then 408 and 409. So with his first pair, 108, 109, Jaden Daniels, Keon Coleman. Crushed to me. I think those
Perfect.
are eight and nine, Daniels and Coleman, two great picks right there.
Yeah.
Neil needed, I think he's got Burrow, if I remember correctly, but he could use another quarterback. So I think that, yeah, he does have Burrow, but after that,
No, he's
he
got
had
Sam
Howell.
Howell.
Oh, he's got Kirk Cousins too. Yeah, Sam Howell's not even a starter anymore.
I know.
But he's got
He's
Cousins,
got
but
Taysom Hill, who is now taking reps as a running back and fullback. So
oh, I hadn't heard that one.
yeah, I read that
Oh,
today.
good God. All right, Keon Coleman, he could be the number one wide receiver for the Bills. I like him at 109, and he's freaking hilarious. Tiger, wish I could. So then because of his trades and stuff, he didn't have a pick until 308 and 309. He took
Mhm.
two wide receivers there. Malachi Corley to the Jets and Luke McCaffrey to the Commanders. What's your thoughts?
I thought those was early at this point in time. McCaffrey maybe, but
See, I'm
I
the other way around. I like the
you like
Corley
the
pick
Corley
bet.
one.
I like
I
the
think it's
Corley
a
pick
good pick. I
better.
just
At
three.
308, that's pretty late, dude. That's back end of the third.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't mind either of those picks. They're both
I'm just trying to.
fairly late round flyer wide receivers. Not bad, in my opinion. So then I forgot his third round pick. Third round
He
pick.
possibly could have picked up a running back to stash, but
He did that at 312. At
yeah,
312, he
that's
took
true.
Will Shipley.
Oh, I didn't realize 8, 9, 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at 312,
Okay.
he took Will Shipley, who
Yeah,
is
which I thought that was a good pick at
that
that
was a
spot.
good pick. Back up to
Yeah.
Saquon. Neil's gonna get mad at me for this. I think Shipley's a uh what's he, a Clemson guy? Oh, he's a Clemson guy, which means Neil should have hated him actually, because he's an A&M guy. So actually I'm kind of surprised Neil took him as after. But
Sometimes you got to put
yeah.
your pride
Yeah.
to the side.
So then at 408, he took Isaac Guerrero. We've already talked about him a few minutes ago. I think he's a good stash.
Yeah.
So he's got two good stash running backs at 312 and 408. And then Eric All is a tight end who went to Cincinnati at 409. Cincinnati, did they sign? They signed somebody at tight
Gasecki, I
end.
believe, no?
Oh yeah, if that's who they signed, like that doesn't really worry me. Um, let's see the depth. Yep, you're right. They got Gesicki, Hudson, Drew Sample. So they don't have. I mean, I don't consider Gesicki a complete stud, so he can go compete. And as a fourth round flyer, not bad actually. So, Corley, McCaffrey at 308 and 309 aren't my favorite picks ever, but
No.
they're late third, so
Yeah.
they're flyers. So I give Neil a pretty good draft overall.
I would say with the amount of picks that he had a pretty good draft.
All right, so let's go B plus again. I'm
Yeah,
giving B plus.
yeah. B plus for
All
sure.
right. Next we got Steve. He started off with the 110 JJ McCarthy. I guess this is personal belief. Drake May was still on the board at that time. I like May especially in a dynasty format. I like May better than McCarthy. If you're looking for this year, I understand McCarthy over May, but Steve has Jared Goff on his team, who also got paid.
And Baker.
Yeah, I don't believe in Baker, but
Fantasy wise, he was fantastic last year. Yeah, of course. But you've got he's got his backup. And he's got Daniel Jones, which
all right. So then 209 Troy Franklin. This has been a big debate we've had. I don't know. 209 for a fourth round wide receiver when Jalen Polk was still out there, when Adonai Mitchell was out there. When this pick happened, I think this was early for Troy Franklin. Personally, Steve's going to be on next week and he can argue with us, but that's assuming he listens to this, which he won't.
probably not. But we'll still ask him about it.
Yeah.
Now with the manager, meet the managers. Now we have like reason. We got more stuff to talk to them about.
Oh yeah, and see all the people who did it before this were smart.
Yeah. Now
All
I get to
right.
grill you. Now
Uh,
everybody's gonna cancel. Watch.
yeah, right.
Uh,
310, Audric Estime. I don't hate that pick at all. Like, I think that's a pretty good
no,
pick right there. You know,
fantastic.
he's going to be a receiver, or excuse me, running back in the Broncos depth chart, and which is fairly open. Uh, 410, he took Louis Rees Zamit, who's came to.
I was really hoping he was going to go to Adrian, just for
Yeah,
the connection.
that's
But
funny. But at the same time, I texted Steve something of when he had these last two fourth round picks, something about him getting another Isaiah Pacheco pick because he took Pacheco in the fourth a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, this bastard took a Kansas City running back just to mess with me.
I've seen a few videos of this guy, and like he's decent. I don't know how it's going to translate into like NFL, but like, I mean, come on, rugby players are doing NFL work without any pads on, so like he's going to be a tough guy.
Right.
But can it translate to production? Like, it's somebody that I think it's a pretty cool pick to put on your taxi squad for a couple years and see what happens.
And then 412, he took Cade Stover,
last pick of the draft.
Last pick of the draft was supposed to be mine, but I had traded it to him. I think that was the pick for. Was that the Justin Tucker? No. It went the other way.
Was it?
No, because I forgot his was coming to me.
Yeah.
And I traded it away.
Who did you got? So you got the three.
I didn't have a fourth round pick because I traded.
Who'd you get for Justin Tucker?
I got a fourth round pick for Justin Tucker, which I then traded away. But so last pick, he got Cade Stover, tight end to the Texans. Well, I mean, they just signed Dalton Schultz, but he's older, and Cade Stover's coming out of Ohio State. It's a legit program. So as a bench stash, that's a nice pick.
Bench stash. That offense is rolling. Like that's it's someplace you want to be as an offensive player.
So I don't love his first two picks of McCarthy and Franklin at 110 and 209. That's my personal. I do definitely like his third and fourth round picks. So
it's hard for me to argue with Steve and what he does because of what he has done with his team. But no, I think he's
me wrong.
I know, but at this point in time, like to be generous, because I know something good is going to come out of this. He's at like a B minus.
Oh, okay. I was
B minus.
Let's give him a B. Okay, B. Yeah. All right.
Just because I know something good is going to come out of this, and I don't know what it is yet. Probably JJ McCarthy.
All right.
We'll see.
Next, Jason Smith. So apparently both Jasons were drunk during the draft.
Were they just texting each other? Like, what?
Yeah, they don't know each other, but apparently it's just that Jason connection. It's like they feel the tingle inside like twins do or something.
So I'm just going to say this real quick, that the manager with 0 picks had a better draft than Jason Smith did.
I wish I could agree with you, but I can't. I don't completely agree with that. So let's talk about
I'll explain myself in a little bit.
Okay, let's get into it. All right.
Go for it.
211, Jordan Travis. Like, at that point, what other quarterbacks were on the board? Like, fine.
There was no other quarterbacks on the board.
Oh, there was no other quarterbacks on the board. Okay.
But that doesn't mean
but he's got Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He got Josh Allen. He was not in that desperate need for a quarterback to take Jordan Travis. Travis was out of Florida State, right?
Florida State. He was really good and then got injured.
Okay, well, I don't get that pick at 211. That was definitely not worth a 211.
No.
In my opinion. All right.
He could have picked him up off of waivers.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody.
No one would have picked him. So why would you waste that pick?
Because the next best quarterback that I was aware of at that point was Spencer Rattler. Let's skip ahead. He got Spencer Rattler.
He got Spencer Rattler too. That's okay. Like
he had
that's the only reason why it's not the worst.
In a vacuum?
Okay.
No. In a vacuum, Spencer Rattler at 411 is not horrible. Spencer Rattler at 411 as your second quarterback after you took Jordan Travis, but okay. Actually, no, it's the 311 pick that he took that I don't hate at all, who's Jermaine Burton to the Bengals. So is T. Higgins going to be there next year? I don't know. Is
Right.
Jamar Chase going to be there next year? I don't know. Like the Bengals are completely silly if they don't sign at least one, if not both of those guys. But the probably more likelihood with, especially with how much they paid Burrow, is that they're probably only going to have one of them. So now you got a rookie coming in Burton, who actually, where is he coming out of? I have already
Alabama.
forgotten. Alabama.
Roll Tide.
So he is a legit prospect coming out of Alabama into a high-powered offense at 311. I like that pick.
Yes.
I just hate the
Agreed.
other two.
Agreed.
I guess I don't hate Rattler at 411.
But I just think you get -5 for just for drafting Jordan Travis. So you're starting
if we
way
just
behind the eight ball.
if we had just eliminated his second round pick and pretended it didn't happen and just said he only had the 311.
It would have been better had he just picked an IDP.
If he had let auto draft pick him an IDP, then we would have felt bad for that one, and then we would have gave him props for the other two.
100%. But you know what? Right. The way fantasy football goes, Jordan Travis in 2 years, all of a sudden he's going to become a starter because somebody gets hurt and something's going to happen.
Because somehow Aaron Rodgers is going to tear the other Achilles, and then Tyrod Taylor is going to get another stab in a lung, and then all of a sudden Jordan Travis is going to be the starter and throw everything to Garrett Wilson.
The next Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Our last league mate was Joe. And Joe was on here, and we talked about he had no picks. So he gets a big F.
But he doesn't.
Oh, you got a C.
No. So prior to the draft, I had all of our rankings based off of a couple of different sites that we talk about, and he didn't move with 0 picks in the draft. He did not move at all. He was considered the 4th or the 5th and stayed as the 4th or the 5th best team in our league. So he had a fantastic draft. Nobody jumped him.
He used his picks to get assets that were
correct
proper value.
So it's not an F.
All right, fine.
He gets a
B plus.
He gets a B.
Fine. All right. So speaking of, do you want to talk any more about the details of these?
Are you okay with revealing our sources? Does it matter? Or do you want to keep them a secret?
It's up to you.
I'm all for bettering the. I'm all for bettering
that's fine.
So if people want to know where we get our information from,
because this is not my primary, anyways. It's just one of.
It's just one of. There's one of 2 of 3 of what we use. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Aaron uses different than I do and whatnot. But so a couple of the most popular ones out there are Dynasty Nerds and Fantasy Pros. Websites, apps, people, podcasts, everything that fantasy football. And that's this is where I pulled information from.
Yeah, so like every different site's going to have slightly different rankings because of different opinions and whatnot on player values. And so
and I really appreciate these two because Dynasty Nerds, they're completely almost polar opposites in a lot of this stuff. Some of the stuff is very similar, but there are some very polar opposites. So with Dynasty Nerds, our league rankings pre-draft was pre-success. Janelle, Steve, Aaron, Joe, Neil, Adrian, Jason F, myself, Josh, Eddie, Raph, and Jason S.
Yeah.
Jason Smith.
So I just want to point out one piece of information in case anybody ever goes to Dynasty Nerds. This is based on your dynasty value.
Correct.
Because there is
including draft picks.
Right, including draft picks. But they also have the ability to look at what they call their contender rankings, which is what are your chances for winning this year versus what is your long-term outlook look like.
Correct.
So this is what's your dynasty value of your team?
So that was pre-draft.
Yep.
Now, post draft, it changes a little bit. Aaron jumps 2 spots to number 1. Janelle drops 1. Steve drops 1. Joe stays the same. Neil stays the same. Somehow I jump 2 spots and I make the playoffs. Adrian drops 1. This is Jason F. who jumps 1. Eddie jumps. Raph jumps. Hot Garbage and Josh drops 2. And El Baracho, Jason S. Smitty is even at the end.
So I'm sorry to be rude, but I want to correct one thing you said, which is that it's making the playoffs. Remember, this is dynasty value, not your chances for this year. So that doesn't mean you're making the playoffs this year.
I'm just in a playoff spot. I didn't say I was making. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Let me rephrase. If the season were to end this way, I make the playoffs.
Fine. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Fine.
Let me clarify.
Well, fine.
So that was Dynasty Nerds. For those of you that don't know, like they're really cool. They have a lot of cool information. It's different the way that they do their stuff, but
yeah, they are very dynasty focused, and they see things differently than a decent amount of people in the industry. But they also do put in like a lot of tape study and stuff. So
if you want to look at tape, that's a good place to go and look at tape.
They have all 22 video from college games available. If you want to do your own tape study, they have all of that available with their subscription. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and their podcast is really cool. And it's really easy to listen to, and like they're great. Anyways, all right. So Fantasy Pros is another site, and I've talked to a couple other managers in the league, and they use this as well. So it seemed fitting. So pre-draft, we've got Aaron 1, Steve 2, Janelle 3, Adrian 4, Joe 5, Jason F 6, Neil 7, Jason S 8. You can see the difference already. Josh 9, Raph 10, Drew 11, and Eddie 12.
Yeah, I mean, just to point out like a couple of large differences, Dynasty Nerds had Jason Smith at 12, and Fantasy Pros has him at 8. Like, that's pretty drastic difference right there. Like, that's the biggest.
Agree. I mean, well, me at 11 and 6, like, that's the same thing.
8. You were 8 pre-draft on Dynasty Nerds,
right.
and 11.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Got ahead of myself.
Yep. So post-draft.
So post-draft, Aaron 1, Janelle moves up to 2, and Steve drops to 3. Adrian, Joe, Jason F, Neil, Jason S, and that's a Josh, Jason S. That's hard.
Yeah.
Josh is 9. Drew 10, I move up 1. Me and Roth switch. Roth's 11, and Eddie is still Toilet Bowl champion.
Yeah, but like one thing that is interesting about this is across the two, it ends up post-draft has the same order in both. Me, Janelle, Steve as the top 3. So we got like.
Aren't you just so happy about that?
I am, because we've got like some Huberman domination up in this.
I smell collusion.
And because of this, you realize I'm going to. You know what's going to happen now. I'm going to make it to the playoffs as the 1 seed and lose in round 1.
What did you make it to last year?
1.
You were the 1 seed?
Yeah.
And you won?
Yeah.
Well, that curse has been debunked, so I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah, I wish the season was starting like next week.
I know, it's like I think just the other day it hit 100 days until it starts. So at least we're in double digits, but it's still so far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, like these are just. I mean, these obviously mean nothing, right?
No.
They're fun data points to look at, but they mean nothing. And it's just, and like I said, especially since it's based on people's opinions of trying to predict the future, they don't mean a whole lot. But it's just crazy how, like, one has Eddie at 12 and one has Eddie at 9. So, like.
But I guess kind of my point when I was putting this data together was like, Eddie had a good draft.
Yep.
So I felt like that him moving up was a good thing. I just thought that it was that Joe didn't move.
Yeah, the fact
Which
that
means
he
like
didn't move, that's very interesting.
just, and and I disagree with it because I thought this draft class I thought was very good and strong. And he was like, where my draft picks were at, I didn't have any value, so I traded them away. And he did something right because he didn't move up or down. Because theoretically, you should move if you're not drafting. You should kind of move down because some people are getting better. But
so let's laugh at who was taken at the picks that were supposed to be his. Jaden Daniels, Michael Penix, Malachi Corley, and Isaac Garendo. Could have had Daniels and Penix both in a Superflex dynasty.
I wish I had the information right now, but like, who did he get in place of those players?
Yeah, I'd have to go do.
We'd have to go back. Yeah,
I ain't doing right now.
No, we'll have during the dog days of summer, we'll have a podcast on the trades and where they turned up.
Yeah, kind of like we did with last year's trades. We could do some with the ones that happened after the season. And oh, well, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
I did. And I want to reiterate that, like, yes, we're talking some smack. If your feelings got hurt, I apologize. But the reality of it is that we started this podcast because we want what? Which
I'm sorry, I was making that face because we're talking smack, and giving our opinion, which we could be completely wrong. So like we're so confident in our opinion right now could mean absolutely nothing.
Right. But there's some managers in the league that I don't know, and there's some that I know that can take it, and others I don't know. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but the whole idea behind the podcast is just to get opinions out there, and maybe this helps you next year in a draft. And you're like, oh shoot, I didn't know that was what was supposed to happen, or vice versa, or whatever. But it's just a way to get us out there, to get the league to be,
and we got some
challenging. Like, don't you want to win? Like, that's all I want to do is win. And if you're not in this league to win, like, I don't know. I don't know why you're playing fantasy football.
When Adrian said that, like, he told people that he was in a league, joined a league that had a podcast, and they thought that was cool, like, one of the proudest moments of my life.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and
loved it.
I've got Drew and I were talking earlier today about some other ideas to try and have some fun with some stuff. We'll see how it goes.
I think that
Drew's going to learn way too much about internet stuff to help me out. I'll come up with like content and write some stuff, but he's becoming the internet guru producer guy.
I was going to say you're the producer, and I'm more of like the
producer is the person who makes the video.
Oh, what? You're the writer, the content creator.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, don't call me a content creator. I hate that term.
Well, it's content, and you're creating it, so that's what you are.
Oh God. Anyways, on that note, well, that was another fun one. We're coming back next week with more of the Meet the Managers. Been trying to line up everybody. Good times. So
far, everybody's had a blast, so don't be nervous.
Yeah. My daughter's not here right now to say like and subscribe, and my son, Janelle, set him up with a new video game, so he's not leaving that electronic device for a while. So I don't even care.
So like and subscribe if you want to. Leave a comment. Post a comment down at the bottom.
There you go. Get us to 1 million followers, so I have to spend a lot of money on cookies.
So if we get to 1 million followers, we can have a destination draft, is what I've been told. I told myself that. I don't know.
Okay, I was like, who told you that? Because I never said this. All right, fair enough.
If we get... All right.
Good times,
it's been fun, dude. It's always a blast.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
Later.
See you guys.